Let's take a look at how to restructure the way that the game engine loads up in order to make sure that we don't, we only have palette information when we load it from the saved game data. So if I remember correctly, Pixel Engine is the main entry point into this. There is this mode which allows me to switch between different modes. I'm looking at the start method here. So in the start method, we call load game. One thing I want to take a look at is, let's go to, in the app, I'm going to look at the pixel editor. When the pixel editor opens up, it loads up all the palette information and everything. I wonder where I'm. Palette preview, set callback. It's the palette preview. Palette. Here's the UI. Palette. Sprite editor. Palette. Sprite palette picker. Current color. Select action. Sprite editor. Selection action on begin drag on end. Sprite picker, current, I don't remember where half of this stuff is. Set pixels should be the pixel editor window. When this opens up, let's get rid of this default palette texture. Because here, okay, here's what it is. We set the palette, and then it automatically adds the colors. What we're going to try to do is, let's disable this for right now. What I'm looking for is that when we load up the game and I go into the pixel editor, there shouldn't be any palette data. That should all now come from, let's stop this, come into here, and then here you see there is no palette data whatsoever. So what we're going to be looking to do is, when the game loads up, we're going to generate out the palette information. Let's close some of this stuff out, and we got to start replacing logic. And this is like the general way that I work is, I'll come up with a prototype of how something works. Then I get that prototype working in a really rough way, and then piece by piece I strip it back and clean it up and try to organize it, and do some sort of, code cleanup and whatever else. But it generally means that there's like lots and lots of layers of refactoring that I wind up doing. I'm going to move this also into the game data, because when game data loads up, we're going to start parsing out this stuff. One of them is going to be set frame rate. All right, so the way that the palette works is, there's a palette preview, which is this sprite palette picker. Here, that wasn't it. It's palette preview. We pass it in this texture. Tile selector, texture 2D. Right, they all extend this grid position tile selector thing, which will take a texture and parse that into colors. And what you see here is that we get a palette, and the palette has the colors. So then what I want to make sure is that pixel editor window, pixel editor window, it inherits from the tile selector, and the tile selector reads this data from here. Alright, this is not making much sense to me right now. Let's try doing it this way. We're going to go and pixel editor window. Let's hide this for a second. We are going to start getting the JSON data. So var JSON data equals JSON utility parse I don't remember how to actually read JSON data from this. JSON array, JSON value, JSON utility, dot, from JSON override. Overrides data in an object by reading this JSON from JSON. And we need a string, and this is going to return an object. So what I want to get is this value. And, no, wait, where? Unity Engine JSON utility. That's weird. JSON value. Boom Lagoon. I gotta look up the documentation on this. I don't remember how any of this works. Boom Lagoon JSON. Where is their documentation? README. Visit publisher's website. This isn't going to work. Where is Boom Lagoon JSON? Alright, parsing a JSON string. JSON object parse, that's what it was. Alright, JSON object parse this. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go through each of these things and we're going to go through each of these things and pull out the data. So the first thing that we're going to look for is this. So we're going to do what is this called? This is SystemDef. Def data equals JSON data get object SystemDef. And then did we create a SystemDef already? New game data. Whenever we create new game data, SystemDef what's kind of weird is I'm probably gonna do system dot, let's just get frames per second equals SystemDef dot get number. And what do we want this? This is frames per second. And frames per second is an int, so we're going to cast this to int. And in the frames per second, we're going to make this a getter, or a getter and a setter. Let's make this, well, yeah, we'll make it a getter and a setter. value, get return application frame rate. Okay, so now we will set the we're going to set the frames per second. So let's see here. We'll do a debug log ps. Value. So let's see if we are able to read our first bit of JSON data, which we'll pull out from this SystemDef. So we'll clear this, we'll load this up, and we'll load up our game. It's now saying that it's set the frames per second to 60, which is good. That is what we want. So configure system. The other stuff we want to do is system dot colors per sprite, which will equal something like this, and we'll do, I'll just fix these in a minute. System dot sprite cap equals this, and we'll just look at what the sprite cap and this. Okay, and then these things can stay. We don't need to make them as setters. They're going to they're just going to be what they are. All right, so that will do our system. The next thing we want to configure is configure palette. And up here we have a palette. So what we're going to do is we need to get the var palette data equals JSON data get object, and the object for this is going to be this. All right, so now we have our palette data. What we want are the var colors equals palette data dot get array. Well, actually, you know what? This will just give us, you know what? Okay, we're going to need to modify this a bit. Yeah, this is fine. We're going to do this as colors, and I want to modify the palette. So this is our models palette. The palette is going to have some properties to it. First is the color, and then the other is going to be a palette set. To create palette set. So the way a palette set works is that you define a set of colors. So if you remember here, I am setting the colors per sprite. That would be, you'd say, okay, here are all the colors, pick these 4 colors, and then you can use this as a palette set. So we will keep a reference to the palette set and then the color within the palette set. I mean, that's sort of in theory how it would work. So what we want to do here is that when we are serializing this data, we just want to make sure that we add, we would do sb dot append. We'll make an array, or we'll make an object. This is going to be colors. And this will be colors colon array, right? So if we came here and we did, we made an object, colors, colon, and then at the end we would do this object, we validate it, and it's valid. This will bring us down to colors. The next thing we want to do is we want to add palettes. Palette sets, and then that would be something like another array, and it would be like 1, 2, 3, 4. Zero, 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 stuff like that. And then let's make sure that this validates, which it does not, because this needs to be inside of the array. Like this. And we validate it. So let's create, for right now, we're just going to create our first array, which would be sb.append. Palette sets. You can actually just call this sets. Need to put sets in here. sb.append. If you're not familiar, by the way, with what SP is, SB, this is a string builder. It's just if you're dealing with a lot of strings in C#, it's easier to use a string builder. It saves on memory. So here, we'll just break this out like this. So now, if we come back into here, let's rerun this. This isn't going to. I broke this. Let's just copy this data out and paste this into here, and we'll just use this for right now. There's no way to save at this moment because yeah, I broke everything. I'm not loading any more data up. All right, so here we're going to get the colors. This will get an array var sets equals sets and for palette data, what we're going to do is total colors equals colors length for actually, I think this has a template for var I. Oh my god, I love ReSharper. Thank you so much. Total colors, and then here what we're going to do is, as we iterate through this, we're going to do palette data dot add color. I thought in the palette data there was a way that I created. Oh no, it's just regular palette. That's what it is. Palette dot add color, and what we have here is there's this color utility dot try parse HTML string, and we will do palette data I and save this. Too many brackets. All right, so why is this not working? Oh no, it's colors. Whoops. Try to parse. There is no argument to give the corresponding requirement from a color get array JSON object dot value. Whoops. To string. Does that work? It's this weird local variable colors. What is this going to return? String. Color equals colors.I. And this is colors is an array, so dot string. There we go, that's what it was. Alright, there is no argument given the corresponding required form of a color. String out color. Oh yeah, you're one of those fun things. Color string bar color equals new color. Then this utility needs a color string. It needs the string, and then it needs a color to go to. Let's pull this out here, and then we will add this color. Now, is it a color 32, or is it just complaining because I don't have the new color? Out color color. Argument 2 must be passed with the out. Oh yeah, oops, out. Okay, so now what's going to happen is move redundant initializer. Alright, so here we create the color, and then we're going to pass the color into the palette, and that should hopefully parse that color. So let's load this up and see if it just like blows up my face. So let's load up our game, and sets equals null. Add color. Add a color. Why did it only add one color? Let's see here. Debug log to load equals this. We'll run through this and see what this has to do. Why was sets equal null for the JSON debugger? Yeah, alright, so that's... Oh yeah, but this is called palette sets. This should just be sets. Right, okay, let's try rerunning this again. Alright, so we loaded up 58 colors. Add color, texture, total sprites, 256 sprites. We've set the frames per second. Alright, so everything here is working well. The next thing that we want to do is we want to visualize our colors, and in order to do that, what we'll need to do is when the sprite palette picker, well, let's see here, it's the pixel editor window loads up, we set a texture. And what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a texture real quick, and on that texture We'll draw all the pixel data, and then we're just going to throw this into one thing. So let's see here if we can just generate out a var new. Let's do var colors equals palette preview. What we want to get is the game data. We need to get reference to game data. Default texture. Let's do public game data. And whoops, and here we are going to return. Whoops, this will be get. Return singleton utility dot get singleton game data. Is game data not a wonder where I put this. This is probably in the Pixel Vision engine. Generic window. Let me game data. This is going to be Pixel Vision engine dot game data. Actually, all we need is the palette. So let's do palette, game data dot palette. All right. So now let's get this, and here we're going to do palette dot colors, which will give us all the colors that exist. Now we're going to create a new var texture equals new texture 2D, and its width is going to be colors and its height is going to be 1. This will be a length. Then the next thing we want to do is, hey Planman85, welcome to the stream. Not a very popular stream today. I don't think many people like watching this heavy coding stuff. Tomorrow will be a fun working on cleaning up a game type thing. Today is Framework Thursday, so I want to get this framework stuff in place. All right, now we have this texture. From this texture, what we want to do is we're going to do for I. Whoops, let me undo this. For I colors length, we are going to do text dot set pixel, and we're going to start at the I position. Y will be 0 and the color will be colors I. And then once we're done, we are going to do text dot apply, which will so in essence what we've done is we're taking all the pixel data that we've loaded up from the text file. We're creating a texture that is the length of the colors. Each color will be 1 pixel in this texture. So it's going to be the length of the number of colors and the height of 1. We are going to set a pixel with that color in each of the X positions in that texture. We're going to save that, and then now in my palette, I'm going to apply this texture here. So Uh, so, okay. Let's see. Let's run this and see if we can actually display a palette. That would be ideal. I don't know how much of this I broke in ripping it out. All right, load up our game. We'll stop this and let's come here. And didn't draw anything. Why didn't that set the palette? Palette preview. Sprite picker texture. Default sprite texture. Palette preview. Palette. Tile size of 1. Generate a page. Pixel editor window. Palette preview. Saving colors. Current pencil. All right, hold on. This didn't do anything here. Process image should have been called on this. Saving colors. 16,384. Hey, wizard. You almost don't see what I'm typing. Yeah. If you do like full screen, it should be good, but not a lot of people watch it in full screen. Oh, why is this? Palette add color. Ooh, interesting, interesting. I'm writing this twice, and that I shouldn't do that. Tile selector. I gotta like rethink the way this is working. Tile selector. Why do I save the palette data here? This process image, engine. I don't need to do any of this stuff. Get pixels. What does the process image do again? Just clones it. All right, let's pull this out for a second. Oh, I can't wait. I gotta remember what the shortcuts are for Windows. Tools, options, editor, search. Where's the keyboard? Code editor, C#. General, keyboard and menus, apply scheme, save. That like all right, now it should be, there we go. Yay, finally got the commenting shortcut to work. All right, so I was duplicating adding the palette data in, so let's get rid of that, and then come on, Unity, wake it up. All right. What I want to do is I got to get this texture showing here. And it's not working. So let me go back through and figure out what the hell I did here. All right, so this guy is the palette picker. What is it using for an image? Raw image. It has no raw image. Tile size 8 by 8. Let me rerun this. I just want to see what the values get set for here. So stop this, come here. So it sets a texture. Its width and height is 1 by 1. And the tile says, all right, so something is wrong with the way that I'm generating out this this image. Let's see. All right, so creating a texture 2D, its width is color's length by 1. Set pixels, apply the texture, set the texture here. When we set the texture here, raw image creates a clone of this texture. Palette. The only thing I can think of is that maybe the colors aren't debug, whoops, debug, log to string. All right, let's see if we're just not writing the colors correctly. Maybe there's an error somewhere when it parsed it. So let's stop here, go here, draw a color. So here we go. It's only drawing one color. And that's the same bug I was seeing here when we say add color. So where are we? Models, palette, game data. Color string, total colors. Total colors to load. Log loaded color. All right. Playman85 is asking, how long do I make games? I want to make a simple one for my friend. What's the I'm sorry, I'm not following the question. Is it how long have I been making games for, or how long do I want to make a game for, or how long do I spend making a game? All right, so all these colors aren't being parsed correctly, and what happens is that the palette, everything here is just showing up as one. The palette's smart enough that if you add the same color, it basically ignores that. So we need to go back into our parsing thing and see why it's not parsing this correctly. Loaded color. So let's look at the string data and make sure that the string data is correct. I bet you I'm not formatting it correctly. Game. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that this stuff needs to probably look something like this. And let's see if this will convert. Try parsing HTML to string. Parse. No. Color. Yeah, let me. Sorry for my English, we're from Poland. No problem. I'm like a fraction Polish, I think. Basically, what we want to do here is... So to answer your question, I've been making games since I was a kid. I usually try to make games. My rule is I don't spend more than 250 hours on a single game, which is a lot. It's usually about a month. HTML color, standard color example. I just want to see if they pass in the color. Yeah, they pass it in with the hash. Let's see if passing in this hash will fix this problem of parsing the colors. Yay, okay, so that fixed the colors, and now if I come here and I look, the texture's still screwed up. Why is that? Loading. Yeah, my whole experience, I've been making games for, I don't know, since I was like 10. Maybe even before that. Paper games before that. Draw color. All right, so it's only drawing one color. Let's see. Let's remove this. We need to make sure that all the colors in this data here have hashtags. And then we'll fix that in the parser as well. Ugh, I'm going to do this by hand? Sure, why not? I can't save or I'll break everything, so let's just do this by hand real quick. Probably could have done find and replace. Yeah, see, here's the problem right here. All of these colors are the same color. Damn it. All right, let's do this. Let's do this by hand. I'm just going to write what this data should be. Artwork. You know what? I think I have this somewhere. It should be the NES color palette. Hex codes. Hex. There we go. Yay, internet. Now, what I'm curious about is why can't I do multi-line select? Selection. Expand selection to edit. We'll just do this in. I don't know all my keyboard shortcuts here. There should be a way I can just do a full line, but we're going to do it here. Whoa, why is this not work? There we go. We'll just we'll clean this all up here, and then I'll put it back into the JSON data. So these are all hex. this, get rid of this, and then cut this, and let's paste this here. So now we should get all of this as JSON. Let's validate that the JSON is correct. It's valid. It just looks terrible, but it is valid. I don't feel like buying a license. At least not at the moment. All right, let's now run this and see if we can get different colors to display. Nope, still screwed up, huh? Internet for the win. Playman C, is Unity good for beginners? I saw your tutorials. Unity isn't bad for beginners, but it's definitely deceiving because while you could do some pretty cool stuff quickly by dragging and dropping, the thing that gets you in the end, shit, why is this not rendering properly? The thing that gets you in the end is that it to get it to work on all these different platforms, it's hard. Like there's a lot you need to do in order to really be successful at it. All right, so stupid thing is not converting them. I'm looking at the ARGB output, and it's 1111 across the board. I'm thinking it has something to do with the fact that they are not set to FFF at the end. It's just the stupid thing isn't parsing. Oh, here we go. It's broken because I fixed this here, so we can get rid of that. Color to string. Now let's rerun this and see if we get the correct colors. I don't think I need to do the RGBA. The alpha should automatically resolve itself. Yay! Okay, these all look like different colors now. All right, let's stop. Please be a palette. Yes! Finally. Oh my God. Okay, so we now have different colors that I can paint with. How exciting is that? There you have it. That is the Nintendo palette. Woohoo! Success. I mean, clearly I got to make that look a little bit better. It's also not giving me the right color all the time. Anyways, well, that's the Nintendo palette, and it's loading. We can fix this by simply changing this raw image to, its width is 16 by 1. It's 1 by 1. This is going to be, I don't know how many colors there are, 64 colors. 64 by 1. So we did this by 2. It's just the palette, unfortunately, is too big to display, but let's rerun this now and come into here, and now we will have, hold on, I can maximize this on play and you guys can see it a little bit better. So if I stop this and we run it, you'll now see we have the full Nintendo palette. Colors are off though, and I don't know why this happens. I really need to go through and better understand why I can't get the right colors. But that's a problem for another time. So that's it. So now we can draw stuff. I can erase stuff too, which is exciting. Let's pick a color which is just random right now. Oh, I need to go back to the pen. Hi. Hey, buddy. What you up to? Oh, you know, Rebuilding a Nintendo in Unity for some weird reason. Okay, so that is loading the data. I think what would be cool is we're gonna take a break real quick. Then I'm gonna clean up the way that this palette gets generated, and then I want to figure out what the hell is going on, why I can't select the right color. So I'll be back in 5 minutes. Where's my little thing? I'll be back in 5 minutes, and then we will continue on to cleaning up the palette, and then that will be the basis for trying to figure out how to save the data for the sprite editor. So I'll be back.